Welcome to the main stage. Our panel now is Play MSTie For Me with panelists Bill Evenson and Michael Rogers.
Woo! You two are the best!
Welcome. I don't know, did I say that I was going to be the moderator for this one?
I do distinctly remember you saying last night that you were going to be the moderator, and you had a whole range of questions and topics ready to go.
Yeah, it's essentially I'm interviewing you.
Yes, about my time on Mystery Science Theater 3000?
It's not a complicated panel. Everybody knows what Mystery Science Theater 3000 is, but we've done it every year at Console Room.
Yes.
Both of us have
Yeah.
every year. And Charlie also,
Yes.
and Bridget
And
also.
Bridget,
We've
yeah.
had the same people every time.
Except this year.
Yeah, Bridget's about 8 3/4 months pregnant.
Yep.
Charlie had a pretty lame excuse, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel a little insulted by Charlie's.
Yeah.
Bridget's at least took some pre-planning there to say, sorry guys, I can't.
I forgot I had to work.
Yeah, do you guys buy that? Do
on
you
a
really
Sunday.
think Charlie forgot
Yeah.
to take the day off?
So it's amazing, though, because if anybody, and you can still watch this on YouTube, if anybody saw last year's Mystery Science Theater panel on the Console Room,
Our virtual one last year.
the virtual one on YouTube, we had a pretty great
Well, thank you. That is really
special
nice
guest.
of you to
Mike,
say.
Mike was there.
Thank
Yeah,
you
it was
so
pretty
much.
amazing. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. It was quite the coup, quite the get. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, I think what Bill's referring to is that we actually had Jonah Ray join us very last minute. Very welcome, too, it was. It was a lot of fun to talk to him. Strangely, though, when we told him that we were doing the panel and Bill would be there again, he instantly...
Yeah, suddenly he was busy this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was weird how that
we could
turned out.
reenact it. You be Bill and I'll be Jonah Ray. Go ahead and invite me.
Come to think of it, how I'll go ahead.
Yeah, you invite me, I'll be Jonah Ray. Ready?
Okay.
All right.
Hey, Jonah.
No. That was pretty much it.
Come to think of
Busy.
it. Come to think of it, let's do it again.
Okay.
Hey, Bridget.
No.
Oh.
Pregnant.
Hey, Charlie.
Sorry, forgot to take off work.
All right. So what I want to do at some point, I don't have to do it now.
Well,
But at some point, I do want to look up because one of the things that's different about this upcoming season is we have the entire list.
Yes.
We have the entire list of films that they're going to talk about. So
At some point, are you going to pull that up on your phone?
At some point, I'd like to pull that
I
up
think
on the
that's
phone.
a great
yeah.
idea.
But
Well, and I think
maybe we could introduce ourselves.
Sure.
Who are you?
Oh, I am Mike Rogers. My only claim to fame is I've watched a bunch of this show.
and that's whichever panel you're on because you've
Exactly.
Doctor Who.
It's a great introduction to no matter what panel. I've watched a bunch of this stuff, so that's why I'm up here.
Yeah. I've seen it all. I've seen it all.
You have,
I've
I
done it
believe,
all.
from
My
the-
name is what?
Oh, from the very beginning too, correct?
Yes, my name's Bill Evenson. I watched Mystery Science Theater when it was on KTMA, when it was airing. Oh yeah. I only remember seeing one episode, but
But it was a good one.
What's funny is I think it's an interesting story, and I told it to Jonah right before we started the virtual panel. And if you go back and watch it on YouTube, what Jonah remembers is he says, "This is Bill." And I don't remember what he said. Like he doesn't. The story is so interesting that he'd forgotten it within seconds.
Yep.
But my parents had one of those little TVs, like really little, like a 6-inch or whatever. And I was watching a movie on it. If you remember the KTMA days, the little guys in the corner are even smaller.
Yeah.
So I didn't see them at all. I didn't have any idea what was going on. There were just people talking over this movie, and I was like, "This is amazing. What's going on?" And I do remember, then I do remember eventually becoming aware of the little guys in the corner.
Yeah.
And the other thing I remember about it is I thought, I like this show, I'd like to see it again, but it was hard to figure out when it was going to be on or even what it was called. Maybe I'm just dense.
No,
But I
well-
think I didn't even know what was going on. So I didn't see it again for years until it was on. Where did it go? It went to
Central?
Comedy Channel, which we
Yeah.
didn't have.
Right. Should we maybe give kind of a potted history of MST3K
Yeah,
as
good
a
idea.
kind of a primer for folks?
Yes. See?
So-
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm the moderator.
Oh,
No, I'm
okay.
just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Should we give
What do you think we should
sort of
do?
a potted history of
I
the
think
show?
that's a great idea, Bill.
Why don't you start with
idea.
that, and I'll
Well,
jump
and-
in as needed.
Well, and I think it'll be needed a lot because I think you really do understand the history better than I. But I think it would be 1988 that they started this strange experiment called Mystery Science Theater 3000. It was on KTMA, which was
Channel 23.
Channel 23 here in the Twin Cities.
Yep.
the first season, which I guess is not technically considered as the first season, but it was kind of a prototype as they were figuring things out, was done without pre-scripting. So they would just get on there and riff live, for lack of a better word, as they watched the movie. They would just make up jokes as they watched it.
Joel Hodgson had or was currently, I think, hosting a comedy class.
Yep.
He was the instructor of a comedy class. He had some success as a stand-up comedian, and one of his students, he's 18, I think, when they made that
just
first
a kid.
series.
Yeah.
Josh Weinstein,
Mm-hmm.
And so he's really good, actually.
Uh-huh.
I think he's probably the best in that first season.
Josh
he's,
is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's very quick, and he still is.
Yeah.
But I think without him, I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, later he gets replaced by Kevin Murphy, not to skip ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But Kevin Murphy's already working on the show. It's Kevin
Right.
Murphy, Jim Mallon,
Yep.
Trace Bolio, obviously. He
Yep.
does all the puppets. He creates the puppets.
Yep.
And Josh. But these guys are just guys that worked at KTMA.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And KTMA, I think they went to their boss and said, "Hey, we have this idea, can we do it?" And the boss was like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah. They're like a horror host at that point,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
like Svengoolie or something, but
Right.
but a little bit more, because Joel's very creative and a little bit nuts, and came up with this idea. Well, couldn't we just shoot it, make it look like I'm sitting in the theater? It's a very clever idea.
Yeah, but of course they were restricted to whatever films KTMA had licensed and available to watch. So
Like the Gamera movie.
exactly, and I believe some Super Marionation, Jerry Anderson stuff they did too. Yeah. So none of it has been released commercially and repeated after that very first year. So being able to see it.
Well, I did technically get one that I purchased.
Oh, you did?
If you bought the...
Well, as an official licensed product.
No, Well, but I got it from them. They sent it to me because I
Oh, you sent
helped.
in like stickers or proof of purchase, and they send you a
No,
tape.
what I mean is, if you were one of the contributors to bring the show back,
Okay,
the
yes.
first time or the third time, depending on how you count, it came back. One of the packages included a KTMA that had never been even in the wild at that
Do you
point.
happen to remember which episode off the top of your head it is?
I think it's the first one.
Very first one. Cool.
Well, it depends on how you count, but it might
did
be the
anyone
second
else end up similarly? Like, do you know which? Yeah. Okay.
So I have a copy somewhere.
Yeah, because I don't know.
The problem is I don't really watch the KTMA ones, and
Well,
I should.
And I'm not sure that all of the footage was retained. So, are some of the episodes missing from that proto series?
Still.
Yeah.
Well, missing, that's the thing.
Well,
we
or
talk about
just-
missing episodes from Doctor Who. They're
why would we talk
scouring the
about Doctor
globe
Who?
looking for these things. With Mystery Science Theater, we have missing episodes, and we know where they are. We know the name of the guy that has them,
Yeah.
and he
Oh,
just
okay,
doesn't want
so-
to show them to us.
All right, so that first year, they work out a lot of the kinks, a lot of the rough edges, and then I believe they're able to sell the concept to the Ha channel. Was that it?
I don't think so. I think it's
Okay,
the other one. I
correct me-
think
correct me
Ha and Comedy Channel come together, but I think it's the other one. I could have that backwards, though. I don't know. I think it was.
Okay.
And then they consolidate into Comedy Central.
There you go.
immediately, Right?
Yeah. Well,
Like
yeah.
year two, it's Comedy Central, I think.
Yeah. So the first official season then was on this Comedy Channel, and you still have Josh doing Tom Servo, and it's a little more of a slick production by this point. They've got like a more defined set. They've got better defined characters. They're actually like planning out their riffs.
I was going to say, they decided to write the show.
Yeah, they decided to write the show, and I can't remember how many episodes they did, but it's a standard season.
It's like 12 or
yeah.
something like 13, I think, actually.
Yeah.
And those are now, so for a long time, when they would put these out, it seemed like they were deliberately, or even when they were still in reruns on Comedy Central, you wouldn't see that
Oh
first
yeah, I
season.
don't remember ever seeing that first
So
season in
they,
reruns.
they not only had sort of written off the KTMA season, but
Yeah.
also even that first season, so they really kind of looked back and said, we got so much better. And part of that might just be Tom Servo's voice or something. I don't
Could
know.
be, yeah.
But,
Which is a shame because that first season I really enjoy.
it's great, and
Yeah.
now that it's part of the canon again. They've all been released.
Yeah. Yeah, so then they kind of morphs into Comedy Central, and you get into that season 2, and you move forward. I think, is it through 7 seasons then they make it on Comedy Central?
It is 7 seasons. The 7th season is like 6 episodes.
Very
but
short.
It counts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and around the time that they did the movie then,
Right,
the MST
exactly.
3K
Yep,
movie.
yeah.
And then at which point Comedy Central kind of decided to move beyond that, and they weren't interested in doing more. And so then they shopped around, and where did they find their new home after that? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it was the Sci-Fi Channel. I did want to just say though, it's funny. It's so sad to think about what those years were like because I do remember it and I did care what was going on. And so much of Comedy Central in say season 4 or 5, you would just turn on they do those Turkey Day marathons.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what that is, right? On Thanksgiving every year they show nothing but or would show nothing but Mystery Science Theater for like 12
hours,
25 hours, whatever. But when it wasn't Turkey Day, they were still showing it quite a lot.
yes.
That show was on a lot.
So if you say, "Oh, I became a fan when I saw it on Comedy Central," well, yeah, that wasn't hard to do.
Now we have a channel, right, on Pluto TV.
Yep,
There's a
Pluto
Mystery Science
TV.
Theater channel.
And
it was
Twitch.
almost like that. It was just constant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then they just dumped them unceremoniously.
Yeah, well, I think in interviews I've heard or read, they said, the crew could see the writing was on the wall. They had a much shorter, truncated season, so they kind of sensed that the end was coming. But they were able to move over to Sci-Fi and continue for 3 more seasons, I think, with, Pearl
I remember,
and Bobo and the Brain Guy. And
Yeah, what I remember about that period too is I didn't go to the first Mystery Science Theater convention. I think it was called Convencio Conorama, something like that. But I went to Convencio Conorama too.
Yeah.
And so I bought tickets to go to this convention based on this my favorite show, and everybody's going to be there, and it's going to be amazing, and we're going to celebrate Mystery Science Theater. And the show's canceled.
Thanks, Bill.
They had a live show they were going to do. That was canceled because I think they have since said, we weren't making. It's almost like they were depressed at that point. It was just like we're not even going to bother making this. We have to do this convention. It's a nightmare. So we get there, and they announced the Sci-Fi. The Sci-Fi Channel announcement was, I feel like it was that day, but maybe it even was the day before because the internet had just sort of started around that time.
Yeah.
So like Sci-Fi had stuff up at the convention. It was really a real boost, I thought. Like I said, it just kept getting worse. I'm going to see a live show. No, that's canceled. But it's a TV show. Everything's canceled. And then it exploded into this Sci-Fi Channel thing.
Man, what a roller coaster.
And they showed deleted scenes from the movie.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which was
It probably had not been, or had it been released at that point?
the movie had.
The movie had?
But
Okay.
just,
Okay.
yeah.
So that would place
Right?
around 96, I think. Was it summer of 96 the film came out?
Trying to do the math. I was thinking 94, but maybe. Anybody know? Does anybody know anything about Mystery Science
we
Theater?
would love to have you join us up here.
Okay.
How I'm linking it in my mind is we were moving up to the Twin Cities in 96, my wife and I remember it being in the theaters, and I was like, oh, I got to see it. Oh, I'll catch it in a couple weeks when everything settles, and finally got the house, moved in, and oh, crap, it's not in any of the theaters.
I
So
went
do
to
remember
it at least 3 times. There was a thing at that time that I really wanted to show my support.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm going to bring everybody on. Bob, you and I are going to see Mystery Science Theater on Thursday. Larry, we're going on. And probably my then future wife, now past wife, I think was one of the people I brought to it. But
She saw the writing on the wall, didn't she?
yeah, not a good sign. Ixnay on the Mystery Science Theater, May. But yeah, what's again funny now is with the passage of time, you read interviews with them, you find out on release day of that movie, they already knew it was a bomb.
Oh, jeez.
There was no hope for it.
Yeah.
It was only at the Uptown, I believe.
And
Although the Lagoon might have been around then.
And it's sad, too, because they talk about how miserable the whole movie-making process was for them.
And some of that bleeds into season 7, right? The
Yeah.
sketch where they're
which sketch are you thinking
the whole
of?
the whole is it a running? It's a running gag about who said that? Earth versus Soup. Yeah, Earth versus Soup. That's Crow's movie script. And so then they bring in what's the term for that? A panel of people.
Like You mean like
test
a writer's-
audience,
Oh, test
whatever,
audience.
and
okay.
then they ask them afterwards. I think it's Clay Forrester asks them a bunch of questions. What did you think of this character? What did you think of this? And you watch it, and it's like, it's almost word for word what probably happened, and it's so terrible to think that you've got a property that's so well defined. Like if a movie studio buys a script from somebody and then they tell them to make changes to it, that's already bad enough. But you bought an existing property that's been around for years, and you have to go back and tell them they're doing it wrong. You guys don't know how to make Mystery Science Theater, you know. Anyways. All right.
There you go.
That's one for Mike.
One for me, 0 for Bill.
I'm
We're
at
gonna
0,
keep a
but
running score here.
I predict a comeback.
Hey, I think you get a point for being at the convention. I was not,
pretty
so
good.
I think it's a tie right now, 1-1.
All right.
All right.
And that was where they also introduced Bill Corbett as Crow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I think by that point we already had, what's the name of Clay's mom?
Pearl.
Pearl. Pearl was already on the show in season 7.
2-1. We got to ask character names.
Somebody's really, it should be on the big screen, don't you think?
I know, right? Yeah, so yeah, Pearl, Pearl took, well, she was in part of season 7, but not the main
I think
heavy.
she even shows up at one episode of season 6.
Perhaps even, yeah. She made it into one of the Turkey Day things, too. I think that's the Jack Perkins drunk segments there.
Okay. Oh.
Making out with Mr. Natural B or whatever.
Mr.
B-
Natural
or
B.
na-
Mr. B
Natural,
Natural.
That was it, yeah.
2-2.
There you go. That's always
Okay,
a
you get a
tie.
half a point. She gets the assist. And by that point, of course, the show has started to suck. Joel has left.
TV's Frank has had.
TV's
parted
Frank
partway
has
through.
left the show. Even Clay.
Yep, they lose
I
Trace.
keep calling him Clay. Trace leaves the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that core group that started it on KTMA,
Mm-hmm.
more or less gone. It's just Jim Mallon, the producer, who was also the voice of Gypsy for most of the show's run.
But remember,
by
Mike-
that point, even he stops doing the voice of Gypsy.
But remember, Mike Nelson had been there from the beginning, so there is
Yeah,
that piece.
yeah.
But
Well, that's why I specifically said the KTMA days, because
Yeah.
that's pre-Mike Nelson.
Yep.
But other than that, you're right. Mike is still and he's the head writer. He's running the show anyway.
yeah.
And we love Mike.
Oh, yeah.
We're not. This isn't going to be yet another Joel versus Mike.
Oh, God, no. No. I mean, there's
okay.
a there's
It kind of
definitely
is, though.
to me, that it's not so much a Mike and Joel difference in eras, but more of like a Comedy Central sci-fi, for me at least, where
can
you see a
definitely
shift
see that.
you see a shift in how they're producing it, first of all, in the visuals, but also in terms of like some of the remit that the Sci-Fi Channel imposed upon them. Like they've got to have this thread of events happening to them in their host segments, which is silly because if you watch it out of order, it's not going to make sense anyway. And
then they showed it out of order, just
Yeah,
like Comedy
exactly.
Central
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
I mean, they all aired in order, but
right. Yep.
then the reruns were all over the place
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, so then I think by, was it 98, 99, they finished off the 10th season, really put it to bed at that point, and then we assumed that, okay, it's done.
Yeah, they the last show, they go home.
Yeah.
They actually, the Satellite of Love comes down to Earth, and they're in Mike's.
Hey, spoilers. Someone might not have seen the final episode.
They're in Mike's
Basement, right?
basement or
watching a
apartment or
bad
something,
movie.
and they're just sitting on the couch watching movies and talking over them. It's a great ending. But
Yeah,
so
it
was
is,
the end of
actually.
season 7.
Huh? Oh,
Season
yeah.
7 had an ending.
Season
like this,
7 had an ending,
This show
too.
doesn't nothing but end. Yeah, and come back. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, of course, which brings us to the modern era, too, quote unquote, when Netflix picked it up. So I'm trying to remember roughly what year that would have been. Oh, might need some.
I'm gonna guess
that one.
2017. That's my guess. Anybody got anything?
Yeah.
15?
And you could, in retrospect, you could kind of see.
Does that take one of my points away, or do
Ooh.
I just not get a point?
Yeah, if you guess it wrong.
Who's scoring? Go ahead.
Bill,
we don't have to find out.
3-2 now. It's 3-2. Yeah. So.
I'm aware of how delicate these are. I'm not going to
Yeah.
drop the mic.
Okay.
But
Don't drop this mic.
It's
either.
essentially going to be a mic drop.
Hey now.
Literally.
Hey now.
Turns into a wrestling match. That's actually what I
Oh.
meant. So it almost certainly was. I think it was like a year.
Yeah.
So people remember. I don't know if you do, but they did the Kickstarter campaign.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it was at that time the biggest Kickstarter ever.
Yeah.
They raised millions, literally millions of dollars. They blew past all of their expectations. So every bonus that it was
Yeah.
if people remember, it
Kept
was one of
unlocking
those where
bonus
we want to
after
make
bonus.
6 episodes, but if you give us enough money, we'll make 8 episodes. If you give us a ton of money, we'll make 12. Whatever it was, whatever the numbers were, and they made them all. They made all their money, and then it's picked up by Netflix, which was kind of a weird thing, to be honest, because it was like, wow, well, we paid for this. What is Netflix bringing to this?
Yeah.
But of course, they're streaming it. They're hosting it.
Yeah.
And it becomes a Netflix show.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing they brought to it is, then there's another season after that.
Yes.
They renewed it.
Yeah.
So they don't have to go to Kickstarter to get the money to make that next season.
And the good news is the new season's only half the number of episodes as the first season. Isn't that great? It's such a good, positive
This
thing.
history of the show, it really does seem to repeat itself, doesn't it?
It does.
It's amazing to think how much Mystery Science Theater they were producing. 'Cause
yeah.
if you look at whatever it takes to produce those host segments standing in front of a box, maybe, but just the amount of screen time that they produced. Those were on for 2 hours with commercials. And they did 20. They would do 20. They must have been working their asses off back in the day.
They were, yeah.
So when they say they're doing 6 episodes, you're like, well, that's a lot of time. That's a lot. It's going to take me a while to get through all those.
Yeah.
But still, the writing again was on the wall.
Right.
Jonah was a failure.
Yes. I think we
The
do
show
blame
was a
Jonah.
disaster.
Yeah. And so then it's dropped again after that shortly. And to never return until...
I can't imagine I would
Yeah.
ever bring it back. No. So,
Yeah.
would you have questions? No, kidding. No. And so then another Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I got to admit, I was surprised by that.
Yes.
It seemed a little desperate to me, I guess, to say, hey guys, we know we went to you for the funding for this show already once, and we've been canceled already twice. Well, we've been canceled a third time now.
Yep.
Can we ask you for some more money?
Right.
And this one blew past expectations quicker.
Yes.
So there was a whole plan for the final day of the Kickstarter, all the stuff that you could say, at 1 o'clock, this person's going to be on, and this and that. And you wake up that morning, and they'd blown past everything. It was all done. It was funded. There was nothing to do. Yeah. So that was pretty cool, I think. Yeah. And
of course, they're bypassing the whole distribution or streaming piece of it by building this, I think, is it Gizmoplex or something?
Gizmoplex, yeah.
Where I believe, if I understand it right, we will, as viewers, we will pay to have access to however many movies you're willing to pay for.
Joel's always been an innovator. He's always thought of himself as a thinker, I guess, and like thinking big ideas. Do you remember that? He did a show on Comedy Central called something like Comedy Box or something like that. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but he's always got these weird ideas that he wants to try out, and some of them are spectacular, and a lot of them aren't. And I don't know what Gizmoplex is. I don't understand it. I don't know how it works, and I don't know why I should care. But he makes it sound really good when you hear him talking about it. He's like, it'll be a great place where we can all get in and everybody put their own riffs in some capacity. I'm like, no, that's not what happens. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not, I guess, do you remember when Doctor Who was on Twitch?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like riffing on it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe there's some way to make that work. Maybe I'm just too old, and I don't know how that's going to work. What do you do you know anything about it? Did you get it?
I don't get it, but I'm open to seeing it be successful. So certainly not wishing them ill on any of that.
No. Is that how I come across?
You bitter old man. Well, and the list of movies actually sounds pretty intriguing. We've got a new Gamera film. Well, new.
Well, the wrong Gamera film. Some people would say.
We might have someone in the audience that could comment on that.
Let's see.
So Bill might pull it up. I know there's like the Batwoman or something like that is one of them.
That's the one that's in 3D, I believe.
Oh, boy. Oh, yeah.
You're right. You're right. That's right. I've made that same mistake before already once. Okay, so here's the list. Let's see.
Well, while Bill's trying to read that without his glasses, I'd encourage all of you, think about some of your favorite riffs, host segments, episodes in general. We'd really love to turn this into a bit of a love fest and hear what
that's
you
a great
guys
idea.
love about it.
Yeah, because we're really doing bad on time.
Yeah. Oh
We
my
are really
God,
bailing
we
on
still
this.
have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All right, here's what it says.
All right.
Santo in The Treasure of Dracula. I think that's what
Sweet.
this says.
Yep.
So this sounds to me like one of those Mexican wrestling
That's
films.
exactly what it
Okay,
is.
all right,
Yep.
good, perfect.
You are reading it right.
Fantastic. All right.
Do you need me to hold that phone back so you can read it?
No, that one's the
Okay.
smallest font because
All
it's such a long title. And I'm just going to go left to, I'm just going to read them whatever
Go for
order
it.
I want. The Batwoman, as you said. So they already did a movie called The Wild World
Oh,
of
Wild
Batwoman?
World of Batwoman?
Yeah.
I love that one.
That's
by
a good
the way.
one.
It is so awful and wonderful.
You know, it is a weird thing. The show has gone through different, eras, I guess.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And what sort of qualified as a mystery science theater movie back in the day wouldn't qualify anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, have they still not done a black and white? Or maybe
No.
they did one?
I think they're still sticking to only color films.
Only color films?
Oh, it is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I got to interrupt you. Are we streaming this? Should you be on the mic?
Oh yeah. So yeah, please
Go
thank
up
you
to the
very
mic.
much. That's a good thing.
Sorry to the audience out on.
No, this is perfect. You're riffing on us.
You guys suck.
So back in '89, I worked at Tidal Wave in Bloomington over here off 494, and Joel Hodgson would come in, and he would basically rent out the entire B movie section
Nice.
so that he
Those were
could
probably
try
all black
to.
and white.
Yeah, I mean, number one, try to determine whether or not he could get the rights, and whether or not there was anything that was worth riffing on.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of the real early.
What year? You said 89?
Yeah.
Okay. Because
So-
it's sort of established that by maybe 90, it's Frank that's doing that.
Right.
So, but I wouldn't be surprised if before Frank did it. I guess he doesn't even come around to the show until
Yeah.
90.
If it's 89, that,
Yeah, then
that would
he's
line
not
up.
even on the show yet, yeah.
Frank's not there to do it
and
yet.
at that point, it had gone. They were still working out at KTMA Studios, which are actually over in Edina.
Yeah.
At the time, but yeah, so it was just you would go either to Southdale or to Southtown. I think was the other one on France Avenue. And we just had a better B movie selection, so
Yeah.
we would be transferring them in from everywhere. You just get a hold of what you can get a hold of for me, and I'll rent them, and we'll see what we can do with them.
That's fantastic.
So
Yeah.
I think that's where they determined what they could do in the real early stages of it, because
Whatever
it
they could
sounds
get their
like
hands on.
yeah, well, and especially once they got onto Comedy Channel, Comedy Central,
Yep.
they had a little bit more leverage to be able to get the licensing. So.
Right.
Well, you could have fooled me because the movies don't get any better. I mean, and that's the thing too about the show to me, that the show was a show where guys were making fun of bad movies. That's just what I thought of it as,
Yeah.
and I don't think Joel would like that description.
Yeah.
Recently, somebody asked him. Well, it came up in one of the Kickstarter emails. Somebody had asked him, "Do you like any of the movies that you guys watched?" And his answer to that was, "I kind of like all of them." And that, to me, does explain the spirit of Joel in particular, and the
Yep.
spirit that you get from the show while Joel. And that's where that line is drawn with me
Yep.
with Mike, is Joel is absolutely making fun of bad movies, but that's not all he's doing. He's making fun of it in a different spirit. He's
Yeah.
not. It's a little bit less mean, I
Yeah,
guess.
or snarky, perhaps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Mike is snarky.
Yeah, he's got more snark. Yeah. He's been more emotionally scarred by the experience of having to view those films over and over.
Yeah, and then everything we've learned about Mike's personal opinions on politics and stuff since then just only makes me like him less. You know what I mean? Like, I've always liked Mike, and I still do, but
Hey, thank you.
yeah.
Oh, we're talking Mike Nelson. Sorry again.
He
Jumped the
He
time
didn't
track.
bring his MAGA hat, but you get it, right? You guys get it.
Oh, I actually heard a boo on that one. Bill,
Oh,
is that the
no.
first time you've ever gotten booed?
I wish.
Today. So what about the rest of the films that they're going to be doing here?
All right, we have a film called Robot Wars. Now, I believe this is like a giant robot. Is it? It's like similar to what? Yeah, no, I've heard of that, but I haven't seen it. But
Were
I
you
was thinking
thinking
it was
like Atlantic Rim, which was
Atlantic Rim, actually. Is
Yeah.
it like that? Like that? Okay, it's in that style. The Million Eyes of Sumuru.
Ooh.
Yeah, I feel like Joel has talked about this before. Oh, they did do it.
So we should repeat what.
Oh,
what you
sorry.
said. So,
You're not on the mic.
That's okay. We'll repeat what you said though.
This is as has been pointed out, this is a repeat because they did it on KTMA. Of course
Yeah.
they did. Yeah. Excellent. I'm going to go back and watch that. Thank you. That's why we do these panels, so Bill can learn things. There's absolutely no information going this way. It's all coming this way. Quit nodding, Greg. Beyond Atlantis, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Beyond Atlantis. So the Atlantis sinks into the sea.
That sounds like the beach
And then
and-
it's like, the next day, what did they do? I don't know. All right. Got anything?
Nope.
H.G. Wells' The Shape of Things to Come. So the font of this looks like it came out in 1973. I've just decided that's what, all right, well, perfect. So that's an actual H.G. Wells story. Is Things to Come, is it?
Made in Canada.
Tells you everything you need to know. Made in Canada. The movie Things to Come, is that the same story then? Do you know what I'm talking about? The 1930s one? All right, we're going up to the mic.
Hey.
Introduce yourself. We got a runner.
Well, I guess I'm Matt, but I will state H.G. Wells' The Shape to Things to Come. It doesn't have a lot to do with the original story. It's one of those movies. It's one of those movies.
Yeah. They got the rights to the title,
Yeah.
or maybe public domain at that point. Or
It's
something.
post-Star Wars, we'll put it that way.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
All
all
right.
right.
All
Intriguing.
right. So I'm gonna say it's post Star Wars and not in a good way. All right. Have you seen all of these? Because I've decided I'd like to see all of these before they actually.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
we got a runner.
You might as well just stand up there the whole time.
I know the titles, and I know some of the movies and their plots. Like I mentioned, The Mask. I know that one, and I've heard of some of the later ones, but I haven't seen them.
All right.
Other than the Gamera one. I've seen the Gamera film, but otherwise I haven't seen these films before this.
They're probably hard to see, right? I mean, I don't know how easy it is to find them on streaming.
Yeah, the Mask one especially is pretty obscure for a
Right.
film. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the show, by its very nature, it's kind of hard to tell. Actually, I was about to say something, and then I don't know if it's true. But back in the Comedy Central days, back when he was coming to the video store, he wanted to get movies they could afford to do. And now they probably can afford to be a little bit better movies. But that doesn't always work to the advantage of the show. So we're kind of walking a line there now. Isn't there one that the director actually lobbied to have it on there? I think. I'm trying to think which one that would have been, but anyway. Oh, Time.
From recent modern or from the
It's like
classic
season
era?
9 or 10. It's in
Okay.
the sci-fi era. It's called Time something. Time Chasers or.
Oh yeah, Time Chasers. Yeah.
The guy lobbied to get it on the
Yeah.
show, which is a little weird.
I don't know if he
I
was
think.
happy
I'm probably just
afterwards
totally
with
wrong.
the results, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he made it with the intention
Yeah.
of having it on the show. Something called Munchie. Yeah, Munchie.
Sequel to Reefer Madness, or
No, very nice. Don't drop that.
hey, it is a sequel. Oh, sequel to Ben and Willard.
What's Ben and Willard? It's a sequel to Munchies? That goes the
Munchies.
wrong way. Munchies. Okay.
A little more investigation, it sounds like.
Yeah, we're going to have to get to the bottom of this. The Mask, 3D.
Yeah.
What do you got? Sorry to lean on you, but you've seen it.
Well, it's a Canadian horror film. Okay. It was made in 3D. 1960 something. It's in black and white.
Oh, excellent.
It in the original showings in theaters, you bought masks and you got
Oh,
these little
Lord.
masks, and they did the 3D effect.
Wow.
I bet that turned out
I don't know if I
perfect.
should say much more because I do know the entire plot, and it's pretty damn trippy. It's one of those. I'll just say it involves an ancient Aztec mask. That's all
Okay.
I'll say. But it's a Canadian horror film from the 1960s, black and white, 3D. Yeah.
Is there a lot of Canadians? Yeah, true. You know, we were just talking about it the other day about when they, I can't remember who I was talking to, but when they went to watch Side Hackers, that Frank didn't bother to watch the whole movie.
Oh, jeez.
And so they did it, and when they had already made the decision to use it, then they realized there's a brutal
there's-
rape scene
yeah,
in
they
it,
did.
and so they had to cut it, and now the movie doesn't really make as much sense as it could.
Right.
But who cares? Right? It doesn't matter at all. But I have heard people say the internet is a great place to find absolutely every kind of person, right? And anybody will say anything on the internet. But I love the idea that people have complained about their treatment of Manos, that it's way better than you think.
Really?
Partly because of the cropping, right? What's his name? Torgo. The guy who played Torgo built his own, gear for his legs because
Yeah.
he's supposed to be a
Satyr? Or?
satyr, yeah. And that doesn't come across at all. In fact, they mock his legs relentlessly. He's got the giant knees, and he's got pizza, the pizza delivery thing.
If only we could have seen his hooves. We would have seen it for the masterpiece that it is.
Exactly. There are people that say something like words to that effect with all seriousness or at least trollingness. I don't know what they're trying to do there.
Well, now in retrospect, he sounds exactly like a satyr would too, now that you mentioned that.
I'm sorry, I just suddenly remembered when I went to that Convention Con-orama. I guess it's the first convention of any kind I'd been to, probably. And I remember waiting in a long line to get, my badge or whatever. And a guy walked by with the whole gear on and doing that terrible, stupid walk. And he had a device. I mean, it was 1994, so everybody could do this now in a second on your
It was
phone.
1996.
Sorry, 1996. Thank you. Did I
3-3.
lose another point?
3-3.
3-3. But it was playing that song. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've
beautiful.
ever seen in my life. The first cosplayer I ever saw in real life. was
Late
the best.
mid 90s, when screensavers were a big thing, you got to have like a really entertaining screensaver. Someone had made a Torgo screensaver with that song, and you see this little pixel Torgo, and the master doesn't approve of burn-in.
It's amazing how much this movie made by what was he? Fertilizer salesman. Yeah, a guy who deals in shit. Makes this movie that people are making screensavers
Yes.
of it back in the day when I couldn't tell you how you would make a screensaver. Okay. Dr. Mordred. Now, is this the one I'm thinking it is?
Mordred
Get on the
on-
mic already. Will you come up here? We literally got a mic and a chair for you.
A mic and a chair.
Really? Come on up.
on
Come on up. We voted you up into the panel. And of course, that means I can go. So.
Yeah. Yay!
What's your name?
Testing.
Tell us what you.
Matt Bjorkman.
What?
And I'm Matt. My name's Matt. I've been a fan of MST3K for I don't know how many years.
When did you
I
first see it?
I first saw it on the Comedy Channel when I was fairly young, and what happened was we were turning the channel or something, and I caught this footage of suddenly this little Japanese kid on the back of a dolphin, and all of a sudden I hear this voice say out loud, "Don't worry, Flipper will save you." And that was the first time I saw MST3K, Godzilla vs. Megalon. And but I saw the sci-fi years. That's what made me fall in love with it, and I just got into it from then on.
Excellent. After I just basically trashed it. So the sci-fi
Hey,
years
that's
were
fine.
terrible.
That's fine. That's fine.
Actually, you can still, yeah. What's funny is that, you remember the news groups, Usenet news groups.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Rec Arts MST3K?
Probably.
Something like that? Or Alt MST3? I don't know. I can still find comments that I put on there during the sci-fi years. So I
Bill
clearly
Evenson
liked
at
the show quite a bit.
AOL.com.
Yeah, I remember barely watching it. That was when the show was no good. And then I go read myself going, this one was great because he did this and it had very detailed, nerdy notes. And then and Manfred was on that one at the time, too. All right. We did Munchie. Oh, Dr. Mordred.
Dr. Mordred. It's actually got an interesting storyline behind the scenes. It was
Is
supposed
it
to be
a Doctor Strange
Yes,
knockoff?
it was supposed to be a
Yeah.
Doctor Strange script.
Oh, it is. That's right. It is a Doctor Strange
Charles
movie.
Moon, I think, was the name of the guy. Full Moon Entertainment. He got the rights to do a Doctor Strange movie,
Right.
and then he lost them.
Yep.
Within a few years, but he had already written this script, and so they just changed the name.
And almost nothing else.
Almost
He
nothing
looks like
else.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, powers are Doctor Strange. If you look very carefully, you can see the story beats are very Doctor Strange.
Okay. Very excellent. So presumably that will come up on the show.
Probably.
Let's hope so.
You know, as I'm scrolling across, I realize we didn't even mention that the show has a new host.
Oh, yeah.
What,
Yeah.
Who is that and what is her name? I don't even remember.
Oh God, what was
But
her name?
I'll say this. They've done a number of live tours recently with Jonah and without. And she's done Mystery Science Theater live. And so the show now, up next season will be half and half and half. I'm forgetting there's 2 with Joel. That was
Yeah.
that was another one of the
One of
extended
those
bonus
Joel
things on the
episodes.
Kickstarter was, we'll bring Joel back to do one. And then they blew
Yeah.
past that and was like, we'll bring Joel back to do 2.
Yes, yes.
So he's doing 2 episodes. So I guess it'll be Joel, and it remains to be seen. Maybe I
yeah.
assume just
Jonah's coming back.
what's
Yeah.
that?
Jonah will be back for it. And
Yes, Jonah will be
think
back.
Her name's Emily.
Her name is Emily. That's
think
right.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Emily.
And the other thing about that is those behind-the-scenes photos they've shown. They've shown the filming with Emily, and the director is Jonah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
not like Jonah's been shunted to the side, which I kind of think maybe he was. you might think that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it seems like it's not if he's
Yeah, no.
being in to direct. So.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't know who's going to be with Joel. Like, she has her own, it's a whole new crew. Her Satellite of Love is all 3 new people. And I don't know their names either. I know you guys came to this panel because you wanted to learn all about Mystery Science Theater, but we don't have
Maybe
that
they're
today.
franchising.
But it'd be interesting to see if Joel was able to do it with, say, Trace Beaulieu
That would be
and
interesting. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Josh. Yeah, I don't know. Because Trace and Josh were both part of Cinematic Titanic. We kind of glossed over the Wilderness
Oh,
Years.
yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Wilderness Years.
Yeah, yeah.
Cinematic Titanic's awesome.
Mystery Science
Yeah.
Theater's got a rich Wilderness Years, yeah.
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 Cinematic Titanic, and of course, Riff Tracks continues.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Have you gotten to the end of this list yet, Bill? I mean,
No, I don't think he has.
We got 15 minutes.
15 more minutes. All right, let's take it slow.
I'm over halfway. The Bubble.
Oh, yes, the bubble. Oh, the bubble. The Bubble is a film.
This isn't the John Travolta movie where it's the boy in the bubble.
That
The
would've been
Bubble
awesome.
is a 70s or 60s? I can't remember which one. It's in color. It is written by the one and only Arch Obler, who, if you don't know him, he was very famous in the radio days, actually. Wrote for Lights Out and a couple other ones. And everything that he has written is, pardon my language, is batshit insane. It is insane.
It's okay that you use the word bat.
He
That
wrote
did
a
not
movie
offend me.
called The Twonky, which is about a killer TV from outer space, and it is insane. And The Bubble is no different. And the ironic thing is, The Bubble is in 3D. We are not getting the 3D version, though. It is a very strange movie. I'm not going to summarize it other than, well, it's about a bunch of people stuck in a bubble.
Okay. You know, it's interesting you mentioned the 3D thing because it's kind of making me think about the show is going, it's going to be, there's obviously going to be a great big launch and it's going to be, you know, we're going to hear about it when it comes back, but it's not going to be on Netflix. It's not going to be on Amazon. It's not going to be on CBS. It's going to be on the Gizmoplex.
Well, and
Yeah.
is March? I thought I saw
It's
it.
in
I think
March.
it is,
It's in
yeah.
March.
Yeah, so it's coming soon.
Yeah, and so you'll have to go there to watch it, and I still don't know exactly what that means. Will you have to pay per episode like Netflix or like?
I think you have to pay in, well, yeah, you get a,
Yeah.
you
That's right, you can get a pass. I have a yearly pass.
Yeah,
that's
same
right.
here, same
Yeah.
here, same here.
Yeah, they already, actually, good point. I think they already are streaming some.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. But what made me think of it is I also get 3D glasses.
Yes, we do.
So they're going to send them to me. Did you get a Christmas card?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I got a Christmas
It was
card.
wonderful.
It was really kind of cute.
It was wonderful.
All right.
Yes, that's
No.
right.
Yeah, just
Right.
right,
It'll.
So they'll trickle out
Yeah.
or be released, not all at once like the new seasons have been.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
I'm fine with.
I prefer
Yeah.
it myself. I think it was the way they did it, what they call it, the gauntlet, I thought
Yeah.
was a good idea.
yeah.
If you're going to drop it all at once, address that specifically and make
Yeah.
it for that. That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah.
Demon Squad.
That one was an early one they announced, I recall. That one's one of the later ones, I think, year-wise. I think that was made in the 2000s.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't really know much about it, other than it just seems cheap looking.
Yeah.
That's about it. Oh,
Yeah,
shocking,
right.
shocking.
I don't know. What do you prefer? What would you rather? What year is the perfect year of a movie to watch on Mystery Science Theater?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I kind of groove to those 70s.
I like the
Okay.
60s,
Like
70s.
I like that touch of Satan vibe.
This is
that you get.
this is fantastic because I was going to say 50s. Literally, I was going to say
Okay, all right.
50s
I like the
because I like an
60s.
old bad movie for
Yeah.
something. There's a I can't even remember the name of the movie. It's maybe one of the Coleman Francis ones
Oh,
where it's in black and white and two white guys of the same height and build and hat get into a fight. And it's like, who am I? What is? They have no idea what's even going on.
I think that was Skydivers.
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 That was
Yeah.
a riveting one.
I just generally want to see Coleman Francis movies. Those are my go-tos. I love the scene where he said guard, water. Remember when he said
Yeah,
that?
I remember that. Oh,
What do you say to a guard? He turns it into pyramid. Totally brutally just ruined that joke. The Christmas Dragon.
Not that one's another one from the 2000s. Another one I don't know much about, but just that title.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. There shouldn't be a Christmas dragon. That is wrong.
Combining Christmas stories with high fantasy or rip-off fantasy. Yeah. Oh yeah, no
So
doubt, no doubt.
anyone on YouTube that didn't hear that, the supposition or the information is that will be the final episode of this season.
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it
I'm
makes
reading
sense.
them in the wrong order because I'm lazy.
Well, they might not have
So-
had an order at the time when they.
It
posted
looks
that.
like it
Oh, okay.
because it looks like that would be the last one.
Okay.
But it's not how I'm reading them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gamera versus
Jiger.
Jiger.
I am disappointed by that choice.
So is Robert, right?
They should have
Robert,
gone,
get on the mic and talk about Gamera.
They should have gone with Gamera versus Virus. Oh Lord, Super Monster. Oh Lord, that one would have been hilarious. Yeah. Gamera, for those who don't know about Super Monster Gamera, it is a movie that's made up of 90% stock footage. And one hand puppet Gamera.
So, for those Gamera fans, it's like a cheap-looking Gamera.
It's Gamera with even less of a budget. Oh yes, I forgot about the super ladies.
How could you forget the 3 space alien lesbians? Is that what you said?
It's one of those films that immediately
Gamera and the
erases from
3
my mind
space
after I
alien
see it.
lesbians.
Probably would have sold a few more tickets if they just.
Yes,
Maybe, yeah.
yes, I
That's a
think
good
so.
point.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's kind of an all-ages thing. Oh, it's
Yes.
Gamera. That's the flying turtle. But Dad wants to come. I don't know. You're not going to just drop us off, Dad? That's it. That's the
So
list.
you mentioned Coleman Francis was like your favorite go-to movie of the MST3Ks.
I did say that, and as soon as it came out of my mouth, I don't know if that's even true anymore. At one time it definitely was. I still love them. If that's all I had on a desert island or whatever, that would be great with me. But I'm also partial to just sort of I'm a simple guy. I'm partial to the ones that everybody else is. Manos, Hands of Fate,
Yep.
and also to me that's a double feature because the week before they had the first part of Hired. Do you remember this?
Oh,
Yeah.
fire.
So I think of Bride of the Monster
Yep.
and
Manos.
Manos as a double feature.
Uh-huh.
You're asking what our
Oh, yeah, favorites, and
Oh.
audience favorites as well. So please come on up to the mic if you'd like to
Ooh,
share some of your favorites.
If I had to grab a bunch of them, I always liked the Russo Finnish productions.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought those were hilarious. Jack Frost, oh my lord, Jack Frost is actually the origin of
Nice.
my favorite riff,
Uh-huh.
which is when the roosters are crowing all off at the same time, and Servo does that wonderful riff, which is, wow, Peter sure is going around denying everyone this morning. You can't get better than that.
Nastinka.
is there?
Oh,
a
yes,
question?
we have something online.
Yes. Joseph Erickson says two things. Bloodbath at Party Beach. Two drunk men stagger out of a bar. Vladimir and Estragon, the early years. And as Shakespeare buff, as a Shakespeare buff, the German parking garage Hamlet blew my mind.
Oh lord.
Is that the Hamlet that has it actually? Who's Hamlet in that?
Maximilian.
It's somebody famous.
Saito?
Yeah, right. I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing that it turned out so bad.
Yeah.
Your Hunter from the Future. That was done in the late 80s, I do believe. Oh my God, that is horrific. But the hockey hair, stellar, right? It's,
I think Riff Tracks did that one. Too.
yeah,
It was-
Riff Track did that one.
It was that one. That movie is. That movie's
It's so
amazing.
bad, it's good.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
It's so bad, it's good. And then I'm also partial to the whole Bunny Fur Barbarians. Because those they're hilarious. They're absolutely hilarious. I love those.
You made me think of, though, it is interesting that there are a number of movies that they've done twice. Because Riff Tracks did Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, I
Yes.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They've done Manos now, I believe.
They've done Manos, yeah.
That other Santa Claus movie, I think,
Yes,
maybe
they
even
did.
two.
Did
So
did
Yeah.
Cinematic Titanic also do
that's right.
Martians?
I think they
Santa-
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they
You
did
can
that
watch
too.
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians all day.
Gets very confusing.
They've done it a million times.
Don't give Twitch ideas.
Do you have more favorites?
Yes, I'm also a huge fan of the Best of the B and C movies from the 50s. Those,
yeah.
those don't normally get done very much because lots of folks look at this movie and they go, of course you're going to have lots of fodder. This movie is so incredibly horrible. But really, for what they are, I think these movies are fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the Pulp Fiction of film, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that's probably a sentiment that people in this room have generally, because that's what Mystery Science Theater was for me. These movies are bad, but they're also great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great way to introduce yourself to films you're probably never going to see.
Yeah, when would you ever? How could Coleman Francis possibly have been a thing?
Yes.
But he had not only had John Carradine in
Yep.
his film, but he does the theme
Got him
song.
to sing it too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and
I could honestly talk about stop me, or I talk about Coleman
no, I
Francis
think
all
that's the
day.
point. Is that we want you to talk a lot on this.
We got to fill 5 more minutes.
more
Yes,
minutes.
we got 5 more.
But I don't know about you guys, but it's always difficult to quantify because, like, when you say, "Oh, that's a really good one," like, do you mean the movie itself? Do you mean the host segments or the riffing or or the whole combined effect? It's kind of difficult to rate these things because you have so many moving pieces to that.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I think it's interesting that I have a definitive answer. I listed 5 movies
Yeah.
basically, and all 5 of those movies are bad.
Yeah.
Manos is fucking bad.
Oh, God.
The other one's an Ed Wood movie, Bride of the Monster.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Coleman Francis ruins everything. Yeah. They gave him a camera. It's amazing. So I guess for me personally, that's my answer to that is I do mean that the riff is good, the movie is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
See, because some of the movies aren't too bad.
No.
Like That's part of the in the Mystery Science Theater book. They talk about going on the Dennis Miller show and talking about what is it called? It's called Marooned, but I think it was called Space Travelers. And him giving him shit that they why would he bother doing a good movie like that? Because obviously that's a great movie, and I'm like, no, it's not a great movie. I don't think it's a great movie, but I think they do actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of partial to Moon 02. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like, that's not an incredibly bad movie.
No.
I
Hell of a
mean,
catchy theme.
Yeah,
Well, Marooned has nothing but movie stars in it. It's
Yeah.
a big
Yeah.
movie.
yeah. We have another audience comment.
Final Justice, as well as Mitchell and Painted Hills and Mac and Me. They're all
Yeah,
very
you're listing some
Great
but
list.
bad.
Solid there.
Avalanche.
I'm glad somebody
Avalanche,
finally mentioned
yes.
Mitchell, though.
Mitchell is
Mitchell
so
Aiming with,
good.
aiming with Joe Don Baker.
Oh.
Well, it's also
Joel.
just amazing that Joel gets to go out on such a high note.
Yeah.
Like I've actually heard it said somewhere recently that that the show ends there.
Yeah.
That's and I'm such a Joel guy. I get that point of that, and for it to end on Mitchell is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how in Final Justice, when they get done watching that, Mike is ready to be jettisoned back to Earth as well, because that's what happens when you watch a Joe Don Baker movie.
That was a great,
That was so brilliant.
yes, that was a great little callback there.
Did you see Did you see what the hat said? I'm sorry. So you just referenced a point where the show sort of references itself.
Yep.
Did you see on the Christmas card what his hat says? Okay.
I think so.
In
It's
the
a
show, the Christmas one, I think it's called Santa Claus that year, when
Yeah.
Mike first joins
You-
the
you
show.
like
I
the
love
sweater?
that one.
Yeah,
like the- yeah.
she's knitted a sweater.
Yep.
Yes,
Gypsy
I
has
remember
knitted a
that. I
sweater,
remember that,
and it says Joike,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Joike, because she started to knit it for. She just says the other guy, and then she didn't want to go back, so she finished it. So it's Joel and Mike together.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
On
I
that
remember,
Christmas
yeah.
card, Jonah's wearing a hat
Yeah.
that says something.
It says like Joe.
Joikna.
Joikna.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a cute little insight.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was great.
Yeah, Santa Claus versus Satan is one of my all-time favorites.
I watch that every year.
Absolutely, it's such a crazy movie, and the riffing
I know.
is so on point. It's
I
just
watch
brilliant.
that every Christmas. It's my
Yep.
Christmas tradition.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
The shorts are fantastic.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely. Like what?
Oh yes.
No springs.
No springs.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
That came, I think, with Squirm near the end on
Yeah.
season
But
10.
ironically, they actually
yeah.
referenced it way back.
They referenced it back with Joel, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, with Joel.
Yeah. In
Crow-
a world without springs,
Yeah.
this very frustrated
Okay,
man
okay.
decides, I wish there were no springs. And this little cartoon spring shows up and grants him his wish,
Yeah.
a la It's a Wonderful Life or
Like, yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Because Crow does this whole thing way back when, I think it was, I can't remember which episode it was, but it was the waffle episode.
Yeah.
Where he's Willie the whimsical waffle or something. He does the whole, no,
No
waffles.
waffles.
Yeah.
No, Mike.
It's amazing that we went that far without talking about the shorts. The shorts are so perfect. Well, I mentioned Hired. Hired is a favorite of mine.
Hired is great.
Yep.
Commander Cody. Absolutely.
Yep.
Can't beat it. I took my mask off to cough.
Thank
That's how
you.
bad I am at pandemics.
If you need to sneeze, go ahead.
Yeah,
Just pull it
I
down
got
and let her rip.
Yeah.
Got it, yep. All right, 10, 9.
8.
Hey, thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks, hey, yes. Hey.
That was a 9.9 dismount. Well done.